In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And still today, it is the Word that commands wealth, the Word that parts red seas, the Word that breaks the chains of lack and limitation. Daughter of the Most High, Son of the living flame, you were not born to struggle in the dust of fear. You were born to speak worlds into being. You were born to rule, not from ego, but from the throne of spirit. You were sent here not to earn money as a slave of time, but to command divine substance with the word of faith. Let the churches preach fear. Let the news sell lack. But I come as a messenger of divine law, to remind you of your forgotten royalty. The King of Kings gave you dominion, and in your mouth, he placed the wand of creation, the spoken word. Money is not your master, it is your servant, it hears your tone, it obeys your belief, it follows the law you speak, whether you know it or not. This is not fantasy, this is not wishful thinking. This is the ancient science of the spoken word, confirmed by prophets, practiced by mystics, proven by millionaires. This is the law of divine compensation, encoded in scripture, awakened by faith, and ignited by right action. You are about to walk the ancient path that leads to supernatural wealth. Not the kind that fades with time, but the kind that multiplies with every act of faith. If you dare speak the word, the heavens will open. If you dare trust the law, supply shall come rushing in, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. The universe is not withholding from you, it is waiting on you. So I ask you, child of light, will you speak the word, or will you speak the fear? Will you command the law, or continue in lack? Your tongue holds the key, your voice holds the vault, your word is your wand. And now as the veil lifts, let us begin. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and still today, it is the Word that commands wealth, the Word that parts red seas, the Word that breaks the chains of lack and limitation. Daughter of the Most High, Son of the living flame, you were not born to struggle in the dust of fear. You were born to speak worlds into being. You were born to rule, not from ego, but from the throne of spirit. You were sent here not to earn money as a slave of time, but to command divine substance with the word of faith. Let the churches preach fear. Let the news sell lack. But I come as a messenger of divine law, to remind you of your forgotten royalty. The King of Kings gave you dominion, and in your mouth, he placed the wand of creation, the spoken word. Money is not your master. It is your servant, it hears your tone, it obeys your belief, it follows the law you speak, whether you know it or not. This is not fantasy, this is not wishful thinking, this is the ancient science of the spoken word, confirmed by prophets, practiced by mystics, proven by millionaires. This is the law of divine compensation, encoded in scripture, awakened by faith, and ignited by right action. You are about to walk the ancient path that leads to supernatural wealth, not the kind that fades with time, but the kind that multiplies with every act of faith. If you dare speak the word, the heavens will open. If you dare trust the law, supply shall come rushing in, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. The universe is not withholding from you, it is waiting on you. So I ask you, child of light, will you speak the word, or will you speak the fear? Will you command the law, or continue in lack? Your tongue holds the key. Your voice holds the vault. Your word is your wand, and now as the veil lifts, let us begin. There is an invisible vault that surrounds you, a treasury not made with hands, and the key is not hidden beneath the earth, nor stored in a Swiss bank. It lies beneath your nose, your tongue is the key. Speak poverty, and angels weep. Speak wealth, and the very elements conspire in your favor. The power of life and death is not in the market, not in the economy, not in the opinions of experts, it is in your tongue. Speak lack, and lack comes. Speak wealth, and wealth runs to obey. Thomas Edison did not invent by electricity alone, he invented by word. Before he ever saw the filament glow, he spoke it into being. He believed with speech, he lit the world with a declaration. Do not say, I can't afford it. Do not say, money doesn't grow on trees. For money grows from belief, and belief is watered by word. Every word you speak is a seed, and your life is the garden. Speak weeds, reap weeds. Speak wheat, reap abundance. When you say, I am always broke, the law obeys. When you say, money flows to me with ease, the universe begins to gather its rivers in your direction. You are not simply observing your reality, you are prophesying it. The question is, what are you prophesying daily? The law of the spoken word does not care if you are rich or poor, young or old, saint or sinner. It only listens for frequency. It does not judge your worthiness, only your wordness. It does not ask if you are good. It asks if you are in alignment. You may say, but Florence, I've spoken good things before, and nothing happened. Ah, but did you speak them with feeling? Did you speak them in faith? Did you speak them as law, or as wish? A wish has no authority, but the spoken word, uttered in faith, becomes law unto the situation. When Moses lifted his rod, the sea parted. When Jesus said, "Peace, be still," the storm obeyed. When you say, "Wealth now flows to me," do you say it with the rod of command, or the whisper of maybe? Money is not evil. Money is neutral. It is a spiritual servant, wrapped in physical form. It listens not to your hustle, but to your hum of belief. It is not attracted by effort, but by frequency. Andrew Carnegie, once a boy in Scotland, did not chase money, he called it. He aligned with the word, he wrote it on his heart, then spoke it into steel, into industry, into empire. And so must you. Do not beg, do not chase, do not plead, command. Say it aloud, not in fear but in force. Divine wealth is mine now. I claim it, I speak it, I move in it. You must speak until the walls tremble. Speak until your doubt flees. Speak until the angels hear and say, "It is done." Let no one fool you. The Bible is not a book of poverty. It is a treasury of divine laws, and the law of the word echoes through every page. Let the weak say, "I am strong." Thou shalt also decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And God said, "Let there be light." The prophet spoke. The Christ spoke. Creation followed command. And now you, created in the image of the Creator, must speak, not as victim, but as vessel. Say not, "One day I'll be rich." Say instead, "I am rich now. Wealth is mine by divine right. My words shape my world, and I speak gold into my days." Your past is not your prophecy. What happened before has no voice unless you give it one. Many are bound, not by circumstance, but by inner commentary. They speak of betrayal, debt, disappointment, and so it multiplies. You must change the language to change the outcome. Like a doctor resets a broken bone, you must reset your speech. Say not, "I always struggle." Say, "Divine abundance repairs my past. I walk now in the glory of provision. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want." You are not being delusional. You are being divinely obedient. You are speaking truth before it arrives so that it must arrive. Your word is not just sound, it is a signal. Like a lighthouse, it broadcasts location to supply. Money is not lost. It is waiting for the right vibration. When you say, "I am open to miracles," you are turning on the beacon. When you say, "I can never get ahead," you are shutting the gate. Your tongue is the compass of your destiny. Use it wisely. Use it daily. Use it deliberately. Wake up each morning and say, "Today, I speak increase. Today I walk in favor. Today wealth knows my name." Idle words are not harmless. Casual complaints are not free. Every word is a spell, every sentence a prayer. G.I. Gurdjieff taught that man is asleep, and his speech is a symptom of unconsciousness. You must awaken the tongue to truth. If you say, "Business is slow," the law writes it in stone. If you say, "Divine acceleration is upon me," the law takes flight to fulfill. You are always prophesying, so prophesy powerfully. You are always declaring, so declare deliberately. Speak as if your life depended on it, because spiritually, it does. And now let your word be fire. Declare with holy confidence, "My word is divine law in action." I speak wealth. I live wealth. I walk in supernatural supply. Money is drawn to me through the magnet of faith. I cancel every idle word of lack and replace it with divine abundance. Every word I speak releases rivers of gold into my life. I speak increase, and increase obeys. I am a living oracle of divine prosperity. The law of the word is alive in me. I command, and it is done. The law of the spoken word is not metaphor, it is mechanism. It is the first gear in the engine of manifestation. If you speak in fear, you attract delay. If you speak in faith, you attract destiny. Your voice is your wand. Your sentence is your scroll. Heaven has no paper, but your words write the future. Do not ask, "Is it working?" Ask only, "Am I still speaking?" And when you do, speak as the Christ did, not to beg, but to command. Speak the word, and your world changes. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. It is not wishful thinking. It is divine knowing. It is the eye that sees through the veil, the hand that holds the invisible until it becomes the visible. And without it, no law can operate. Without it, the word falls flat. Faith is the golden conductor, connecting your decree to its demonstration. You may speak the word, but without faith, it is an echo lost in the wind. But when you speak in faith, even the mountains bow, even the fig tree withers, even the storm hushes. Do you know what faith really is? It is the unseen architecture of all abundance. It is the quiet force behind every fortune. Faith built the railroads. Faith launched the printing press. Faith carved dreams into skyscrapers. Henry Ford had faith in a horseless carriage before steel obeyed. Walt Disney saw castles where swampland slept. The Wright brothers saw flight while the world mocked gravity. What they had was not just vision. It was faith in the unseen, and what they believed came to pass. Faith is not effort. It is rest. It is not struggle. It is surrender to the law. It is knowing that what is for you is already done. When you are in true faith, there is no panic, no grasping, no grinding. There is only stillness. For in stillness, God moves. Faith is the womb of miracles. It cannot conceive when cluttered by doubt. The one who doubts delays. The one who believes receives. And you, beloved soul, must now walk not by sight, but by spirit. The one who says, I will believe it when I see it, has missed the law entirely. The law is, you will see it when you believe it. What you believe becomes blueprint, and the universe is a faithful builder. You are not here to chase evidence. You are here to create it by belief. Faith is magnetic. It draws unto itself that which it believes. If you believe in struggle, struggle shows up. If you believe in increase, increase must arrive. The law does not ask if your belief is true or false. It only asks if it is consistent. Faith is the currency of heaven. It is more valuable than silver or gold, because it creates both. A man he be rich in possessions, but if he lacks faith, he is poor indeed. But give a man faith, and he can start with nothing and end with a palace. Faith levels the field. Faith defies logic. Faith is what took Joseph from the pit to the palace. It is what made water stand still for Moses. It is what made Sarah laugh as the impossible became her womb's reality. Faith is not gentle. It is mighty. It is not passive, it is forceful. The kingdom of heaven suffers violence, and the violent, those bold in faith, take it by force. Do not confuse hope with faith. Hope waits. Faith knows. Hope says, someday. Faith says, now. Hope delays the blessing. Faith commands it into the present. Hope can be easily shaken, but faith is anchored in the unshakable. When Peter walked on water, he walked in faith. But when he looked at the waves, he fell into hope. He hoped God would save him. And still God did. But what would have happened if he stayed in faith? You too must stay in faith, not for a moment, not for a mood, but as a law of life. You must choose faith daily. You must wake up and declare, today I walk in supernatural faith. Today I do not beg, I believe. Today, my provision is already present. Do not wait for the bank account to change before you believe. Believe, and the account will follow. Do not wait for the opportunity to appear before you believe you are worthy. Believe, and the door will open. Faith speaks in past tense about the future. It does not say, it will happen. It says, it is done. Faith uses present tense power for unseen things. That is why the centurion said to Jesus, only speak the word, and my servant shall be healed. That is why the woman with the issue of blood said within herself, if I but touch the hem of his garment, I shall be made whole. And she was, not because she was worthy, not because she earned it, but because she believed it. You do not manifest according to what you want. You manifest according to what you believe. Your beliefs are invisible magnets calling forth circumstances. The world may call it psychology, but heaven calls it law. According to your faith be it unto you. Not according to your effort, not according to your tears, not even according to your prayers, but according to your faith. You are not rewarded for worry. You are rewarded for unwavering trust. And to trust means to walk like it's done, even when nothing in the natural says so. There will be moments when appearances scream the opposite, when the rent is due, when the cupboards are bare, when the rejection comes in. In these moments, you must not bow to sight. You must stand in spirit. You must say, even now supply is rushing to me. Even now the right people, places and provisions are coming. And you must say it until your voice no longer trembles, until your mind no longer resists, until your atmosphere shifts. Speak it until it becomes embodied, because once faith becomes flesh, your reality must follow. The enemy of faith is fear. Fear is not merely emotion, it is perverted faith. It is belief in the wrong outcome. It is faith in evil instead of good. It is faith in failure instead of favor, and it must be cast out with violence. When fear speaks, silence it. When fear whispers, shout over it. Declare the opposite. Do not argue with fear, override it. If fear says, "What if you fail?" you say, "I cannot fail. For if God is for me, who can be against me?" If fear says, "What if you go broke?" you say, "I am rich with divine substance now, and it increases by the hour." You must train your imagination in faith, for the images you hold inside are the blueprint for what appears outside. Prentice Mulford said it well. Thoughts are forces, and the thought backed by faith is a command that creation must obey. Do not let your mind become a playground for worry. Let it become a throne room for divine imagination. Imagine yourself prosperous, powerful, peaceful. See yourself receiving the call that changes it. Very thing. See yourself walking through the door of destiny. Feel the weight of gold in your hand. Smile before the miracle shows up, and it will. Faith must become your language. It must flavor your speech, fuel your actions, and set fire to your emotions. Let every word you speak be faith-drenched. Say, "Things are always working out for me." Say, "My harvest is certain." Say, "I am divinely guided, and every step I take leads to increase." Say, "Money is a servant of spirit, and I am a child of the King." Do not merely think these things, speak them. For as we learned in the first law, the spoken word is the activator, but faith is the battery. True faith has a sound. It is not desperate. It is definite. It does not plead. It proclaims. There is an electricity to it. It moves the invisible into visibility. And when faith is spoken, watch how creation bends. The supply chain of heaven is faster than man's delivery. Faith says, "I already have it. And because you say so, it must be so." So today, plant this truth into your soul. You do not lack money. You do not lack opportunity. You only lack consistent faith. And when you get faith right, everything else must obey. You need not figure out the how. That is the domain of divine intelligence. You need only believe the what. And the moment your belief becomes stable, the heavens move with fire. So walk in this now. Speak it aloud. I have unshakable faith in divine supply. I trust in what I do not see. My harvest is guaranteed. I am safe. I am provided for. I am prosperous. I walk by faith, not by fear. Say it again, louder this time. Let the angels mark your decree. Let lack hear and flee. Let your soul rejoice as your spirit says, "It is done." Faith is not a mood. Faith is a law, and when you live by it, you unlock the gates of abundance, the flow of miracles, and the vaults of divine provision. It is done unto you, beloved, not by the size of your dream, but by the strength of your faith. And your faith, right now, is enough. Where there is no vision, the people perish. And where there is no prosperity, vision has been stolen. You were not created to wander in a fog of confusion, but to walk by inner sight, not outer facts, not public opinion, but vision. Vision is the divine telescope of the soul. It shows you the city while you're still in the wilderness. It reveals the palace while you're still in the prison. It whispers of the garden when all you see is desert. And it is not optional, for without vision, the supply cannot come, the money cannot move, the law cannot activate, because nothing arrives where there is no invitation, and vision is the invitation. The world says, seeing is believing, but heaven says, believing is seeing. Every fortune began as a flicker in someone's mind. Every cathedral, every empire, every song, every invention began not in the outer world, but in the inner temple of imagination. Napoleon Hill said, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." Why? Because vision is more than fantasy. It is spiritual blueprint. It is what turns thought into form, idea into income, dream into demonstration. And it is your holy responsibility to guard it, nurture it, and speak life to it until it bursts into manifestation. So I ask you now, what do you see? Not with the eyes in your head, but with the eyes of your spirit. When you close your eyes, do you see debt or destiny, bills or blessings, scarcity or sacred supply? Because what you behold, you will build. The Israelites saw giants, and they stayed stuck. But Caleb saw victory, and he entered the promise. The world saw a cross, but Christ saw a crown. The outer looks like failure, but vision says, wait, it's about to turn. You must cultivate vision like a garden. Not once, not occasionally, but daily. Vision must be made plain. Written on the tablets of your heart, not vague, not someday, but specific, clear, alive. What does it look like when you're walking in divine abundance? What are you wearing? Where are you living? What does your bank statement say? What kind of people surround you? What kind of peace lives inside you? See it, smell it, taste it in your spirit. Because if you cannot feel it now, you will not touch it then. This is not delusion. This is divine creation. All of heaven moves by image. God saw light and said, "Let there be," but the vision came first. The seeing preceded the speaking, and the speaking preceded the becoming. So too must you see it first. You must see it in prayer. You must see it in meditation. You must see it when the bill arrives. You must see it when the bank account is low. You must see it when the opportunity disappears. Because vision is the defiance of reality. It is the resurrection power of the mind. Andrew Carnegie saw towers of steel before there was a single railroad. Disney saw a kingdom before there was land. Sarah Breedlove, better known as Madam C.J. Walker, saw herself as a mogul while scrubbing floors. Her vision became her vehicle, and yours will too, but only if you do not faint. Only if you persist. Only if you choose to behold the invisible until it bends into the visible. The reason most do not receive is because they do not see, they wish, they hope, but they do not cast vision. The subconscious mind, the gateway of manifestation, responds not to begging, but to pictures. It is image-driven. It needs clarity. It needs repetition. It needs emotional fire. When you see yourself poor, struggling, tired, your subconscious obeys. When you see yourself powerful, provided for, peaceful, your subconscious obeys that too. And so the question is not, why am I stuck? The question is, what have I been visualizing? Let the image change. Let it evolve. Let it upgrade. Tear down the mental altars of insufficiency and plant new pictures of abundance. Do not say, "I hope to be wealthy." See yourself wealthy. Not someday. Now. See it until the body believes it, until your nervous system starts to respond, until your heart no longer skips when a bill arrives because you've already seen yourself in overflow. Vision must become vivid. Not gray, not faint, not maybe. See it in 4K clarity. Feel the velvet of your new couch. Smell the ocean outside your home. Hear the applause as you walk in purpose. Taste the wine of answered prayer. Let the movie of your future play until your emotions align. This is the technology of manifestation. It is not woo-woo. It is spiritual law. Do you not remember? Even Jacob received wealth by vision. When he bred the flocks, he peeled rods to show striped patterns, and the animals gave birth according to what they saw. The flocks increased by the frequency of visual focus. What you fix your inner eye upon, you give birth to. You are giving birth daily. The only question is, to what? So now, begin to flood your atmosphere with vision. Make a space for it. Write the vision. Sketch it. Speak it. Feel it. Create an altar of inspiration, not as decoration, but as activation. Put your future on the wall. Put your calling on the mirror. Surround yourself with reminders of where you're going, not where you've been. Let your phone speak prosperity. Let your music drip with vision. Let every part of your environment be a billboard for what heaven is building. And when resistance comes, and it will, return to the vision. When delay mocks you, return to the vision. When friends doubt you, return to the vision. When fear tries to sabotage your sleep, return to the vision. Let no man, no moment, no mistake steal what you've seen, because what you've seen is sacred, and the only way to lose it is to stop looking. The enemy doesn't need to destroy your faith. He only needs to dim your vision, because if the picture fades, so does the power. But when your vision is sharp, even in the valley, your joy rusker emains. Even in the trial, your spirit sings, because you've seen the outcome, and what you've seen, no man can take. What you've seen, God has sealed. And what is sealed by spirit is already yours. So now, declare, my vision is clear. My spirit sees what my eyes do not. I walk by divine images. I create from the invisible. I believe what I have seen in spirit, and it shall come to pass in flesh. Say it again, with power. Let it echo into the ethers. Let it shake the lies loose from your soul. I walk by vision. I am led by inner sight. I see wealth, and wealth sees me. I see overflow, and overflow sees me. I see miracles, and miracles are on their way. Let that be your rhythm. Let that be your lens. Walk by vision and not by verdict. Walk by the unseen, not the unwanted. Let people call you unrealistic. Heaven will call you prophetic. For without vision, the people perish, but with it, you shall prosper beyond measure. Vision without movement is fantasy. Faith without footsteps is dormancy. To call forth supply from the invisible, your soul must not only believe and see, it must act. Not later, not when it's convenient, but when the Spirit says, go. The law of right action is heaven's instruction to the feet. It is not enough to speak abundance. You must walk in alignment with it. You must move as one who is already supplied. You must behave as if the blessing is behind the next door, because it is. Right action is not the same as busyness. The world celebrates hustle, but heaven honors harmony. It is not about doing more, it is about doing right. Righteous action, divine impulse, inspired movement, obedience to intuition, the kind of action that flows from inner knowing, not outer pressure. The kind of action that is drenched in peace, not panic, for when the action is right, it opens gates, but when the action is forced, it builds walls. Think of Noah. He built the ark before the first raindrop fell. That was right action. He did not wait for proof. He followed the vision. Joseph stored grain in years of plenty. That was right action. Ruth stayed in the field. Diaz of favor. That was right action. These were not random deeds. They were divinely timed movements. Your abundance is waiting at the intersection of faith and obedience. It does not appear by accident. It arrives because you moved when heaven whispered. Some wait and say, "I'll act when I feel ready." But the law does not respond to feelings. It responds to faith. If the seed waited until it felt ready to grow, it would die in the soil. Action activates the law. Even a small act, when done in faith, is a catalyst. Even a phone call, an email, a conversation, a step across the room, when led by spirit, can move mountains. Right action is often quiet. It is not always a grand leap. Sometimes it is saying no to what doesn't align. Sometimes it is cleaning your desk. Sometimes it is registering the business, calling the mentor, writing the vision down again. Obedience may appear ordinary, but it opens the way for the extraordinary. You must remember this. There is always a next step. Always. Spirit is never without instruction, and your job is not to know the full path. It is to obey the present nudge. Most people are stuck not because they don't know how, but because they ignore the simple quiet promptings. They think, that's too small. But the law says, he that is faithful with little shall be made ruler over much. The way to divine wealth is paved with obedient steps. When Andrew Carnegie hired Napoleon Hill to discover the secrets of success, Hill didn't hesitate. He said yes without knowing where it would lead. That was right action. When Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times to make the light bulb, he kept experimenting. That persistence was right action. When Oprah Winfrey took a role that scared her, when she launched a network that others doubted, that was right action born of divine inner prompting. You must become radically responsive to spirit. If spirit says apply, apply. If spirit says release it, release it. If spirit says speak, speak. Your wealth does not live in the land of hesitation. It lives in the land of instant obedience. The ego wants certainty, but the soul only needs clarity. And once clarity is given, movement must follow. Right action is not reactive, it is proactive. You do not wait to be rescued. You do not sit in the boat and hope for wind. You row with divine rhythm. You rise when others retreat. You step forward when the Red Sea has not yet parted, because movement is what parts it. Some believe that spirituality means stillness only, but stillness without movement becomes stagnation. You must balance inner stillness with outer obedience. The Master prayed in quiet, then healed in action. He listened on the mountain, then walked in miracles. You too are called to both silence and steps, to both trust and traction. Money flows to the obedient, not to the passive, not to the hesitant, not to the wishful, but to the faithfully active. When you move, the law moves with you. When you take right action, resources rearrange. Doors that were shut begin to creak. People who ignored you call back. Ideas become strategies. Heaven meets movement with multiplication. And yet, action without alignment is noise. There is such a thing as misaligned action. Busy work. Striving from fear. Doing what everyone else does instead of listening within. That is not right action, that is reaction. It creates exhaustion, it blocks the flow. So before you act, ask, is this led by spirit or pushed by fear? If it is fear, pause. If it is faith, move. Right action feels clean, it feels resonant. Even if it's scary, it feels true. It brings energy, not drain. It may challenge the mind, but it feeds the soul. That is how you know it is right. And when you move in right action, the universe rushes to support you. You become magnetic, provisions appear, divine appointments unfold, not because you forced it, but because you flowed with divine timing. Do not confuse divine delay with denial. Sometimes, the law is aligning the stage, preparing the actors, setting the scenery. But that doesn't mean you do nothing. You prepare, you get ready, you position yourself, because when the curtain rises, you must be found faithful. You must be found already moving. So now, beloved, examine your life. What step have you delayed? What instruction have you ignored? What door has been knocking while you say, later? Your miracle is tied to movement. Your abundance is linked to obedience. Do not delay divine timing with mental clutter. Clear the path. Take the step. Trust the whisper. And speak this aloud. I am obedient to divine instruction. I act in faith, not fear. Every step I take is blessed. Every move I make is divinely supported. I walk in rhythm with the Spirit. I do what I am led to do. I move, and miracles move with me. I am a vessel of right action, and money flows to me through divine obedience. Repeat it until your feet tingle, until your hands are ready, until your will aligns with Spirit. Because once you act, the law must react. Once you move, the provision is released. The law of right action guarantees that no step taken in faith is ever wasted. It is recorded in the archives of heaven. It is seen by the eyes of angels. And it will be rewarded in this realm. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Move now, not in fear, but in faith, not in panic, but in peace, and watch the supply chase your obedience. Delay is not denial. Divine timing is not slow, it is perfect. You are not late, and you are not behind. The seed does not bloom in the moment it is planted, and yet, it is never idle. Something holy is always unfolding beneath the surface. The law of divine timing is the spiritual law that governs the unseen clock of manifestation. You may not hear it ticking, but its rhythm never skips. It is the sacred orchestra behind your answered prayer. What looks like silence is actually strategy. What looks like a pause is really preparation. The farmer does not weep when the soil is quiet. He waits with faith because he knows what he sowed. Likewise, you must trust that the vision is growing, even when you cannot see it. Spirit is never late. The angels are never idle. The supply is never lost. But it arrives not when you beg. It arrives when you align. This is the realm where many faint. They pray, they believe, they speak. And when the clouds remain still, they say, it's not working. But oh beloved, the law is not broken. The heavens are not deaf. The delay is the dance of destiny. The stillness is the testing of trust. The seeming silence is not absence, it is alignment. In the scriptures, Abraham waited decades for his promised son. Joseph was thrown into a pit, forgotten in prison, before ruling Egypt. David was anointed king long before he wore the crown. Each had a promise, each had a pause, each had a moment when they could have said, God has forgotten me. But God does not forget what he ordains. He does not drop the seed. He does not miss the moment. He perfects all things in his time. You must stop measuring time as man does. The world will tell you you're too old, too late, too behind. But the Spirit knows no such limits. Moses began his mission at 80. Sarah laughed at the idea of birthing in her 90s. Yet Isaac came. Colonel Sanders didn't fry a fortune until his 60s. Louise Hay published her greatest work later in life. Divine timing does not follow the clock on your wall. It follows the calendar of your soul. There is a sacred sequence to manifestation. First comes the word, then comes the belief, then comes the action, then comes the wait. But in the wait is the womb, in the wait is the formation. Just as a child is formed in silence, so too is your miracle being knit together behind the veil. You must not disturb it with doubt. You must not curse the process with panic. Instead, you bless the stillness with praise. The eagle waits for the right current before soaring. The caterpillar waits for the perfect moment to split the cocoon. Trees do not bloom in winter. Even gold must endure the fire before it is shaped into beauty. Everything real requires time, and everything divine arrives on time. Impatience is the enemy of manifestation. It signals distrust. It blocks the flow. It says, I know better than divine order. But patience is power. Patience says, I trust that what is mine is already prepared. It is the stillness that accelerates the blessing. When you rest, you magnetize. When you surrender, you attract. When you stop striving, you start receiving. You do not need to chase. You need to prepare. Prepare your home. Prepare your mind. Prepare your bank account. Prepare your heart. Because the delivery is coming. But the law will not release what you are unready to handle. A blessing before its time becomes a burden. Spirit waits not for perfection, but for readiness. And readiness is not frantic effort. It is peaceful expectation. When the vibration of your belief matches the vibration of your desire, the door opens. Not by force, but by frequency. That is the sacred mathematics of divine timing. You cannot rush it, but you can sync with it. And how do you sync with it? By gratitude, by praise, by preparation, and by trusting that no time is ever wasted. Even delays are divine. The job that didn't work out protected you. The relationship that ended refined you. The detour you despised developed you. Nothing was lost. It was simply redirected. What man calls a setback, spirit calls a setup. And when it finally arrives, you will say, it was worth the wait. When Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper for lack of imagination, he did not see failure. He saw formation. When his ideas were rejected again and again, he did not retreat. He refined. And when Disneyland finally opened, the world saw not the years of delay, but the glory of divine fulfillment. The world will not remember how long it took. It will remember what arrived. Trust the timing. Trust the pauses. Trust the moments when nothing makes sense. That is often where the biggest breakthroughs are birthed. For in that sacred in-between, the angels are arranging meetings. The law is aligning hearts. The universe is shifting resources. Heaven is weaving all things together for your good. And when it comes, it will be sudden. Divine timing is quiet in its formation but explosive in its arrival. One phone call, one email, one conversation, one moment of favor can shift years of stagnation. When Spirit says now, the walls fall, the doors open, the provision flows, and all that was withheld comes rushing in. That is the suddenly of Spirit. So speak this aloud. I do not rush the law. I do not question the delay. I trust divine timing. Everything I desire is arriving at the perfect moment. What is mine cannot miss me. What is aligned cannot be delayed. I am in sync with Spirit. I walk in peace. I wait in power. I receive in perfect time. Say it again. Let it melt the anxiety. Let it still the striving. Let it anchor your soul in unshakable faith. The law does not respond to panic. It responds to peace, and your peace is proof of your trust. The universe mirrors your energy. When you radiate rest, you become irresistible to blessings. So rest, not in apathy, but in alignment. Rest does not mean you do nothing. It means you trust everything. You walk as if the blessing is en route. You prepare as if the delivery has been confirmed. You praise as if it has already arrived. Because it has. In the invisible realm, it is finished. And now, divine timing is simply walking it to your door. Resistance is the great dam in the river of your supply. It is the clenched fist that cannot receive. It is the hardened heart that blocks the blessing. The law of non-resistance is not weakness. It is supreme spiritual strength. It is the art of letting God work while you rest in knowing. When you resist, you contract. When you allow, you expand. And money, like Spirit, flows to the open hand. You do not fight the darkness. You shine the light. You do not wrestle with the wind. You open your sails. You do not beg the rain, you prepare the soil. So too with prosperity, you do not chase it, force it, or fear its absence. You become non-resistant, and it comes to you. I have seen people pray with fervor and then worry with even greater intensity. They ask for wealth but resist its arrival with fear. They make declarations but secretly doubt. They sow but do not expect to reap. And then they say, why has nothing changed? Because the word without surrender is like a seed without soil. It cannot grow. Non-resistance is the invisible fertilizer of manifestation. It is not passivity, it is holy cooperation with the divine. It says, I do not fight the flow, I become the flow. It says, what I desire, I already am. What I seek is already mine in spirit. It is the trust that knows, my supply is not delayed, only delivered in perfect ease. You must stop striving. Striving is the language of lack. It signals that something is missing, but when you know that all is yours now, you stop pushing, pulling, forcing. You become magnetic, you move in peace, you receive without fear. Do you remember when Jesus slept in the boat while the storm raged? The disciples panicked, they resisted, but the Master rested, and from that rest came authority. Peace, be still, he said, and the winds obeyed. So too must you learn to sleep through your storms. When the account looks empty, rest. When the opportunity delays, rest. When the facts scream impossible, rest, because Spirit is still working, even while you sleep. Resistance takes many forms: anger, bitterness, unforgiveness, regret, control. Each one is a spiritual barricade. Each one whispers, I don't trust the process. But when you let go of control, you let in the miracle. When you forgive, you free your hands to receive. When you release the past, you reclaim your power. Andrew Carnegie said, the man who dies rich dies disgraced. Why? Because he understood the law of circulation. Wealth is meant to flow, not stagnate. When you hoard, you resist. When you fear spending, you signal lack. But when you release with joy, you invite increase. Money is not a trophy, it is a tool, and tools were made to be used. If you fear money leaving, it will fear returning. If you bless its coming and going, it will multiply. You must speak to money as if it were a guest in your home. Come freely, go peacefully, return multiplied. The law responds to this vibration. You cannot deceive it with lip service. It reads the feeling tone of your soul. I remember a woman who came to me, gripped with anxiety. She had tithed, spoken the word, visualized abundance, but still the supply had not arrived. I asked her, "Do you believe or do you fear?" She wept. She feared. She feared what would happen if the money did not come. She feared being embarrassed, left behind, unworthy. And I said, "You are not resisting lack. You are resisting your good. Let go. Let God. The law cannot deliver what you do not expect in joy." She began to praise in advance. She began to bless every bill with gratitude. She began to walk as if the supply was on its way. And within weeks, the very client she thought was lost came back tenfold, not because she begged harder, but because she released her fear. Non-resistance is not inaction. It is right action guided by trust. It is rowing when led, and resting when told. It is speaking the word, then stepping back to let spirit paint the picture. The artist does not smudge the canvas after every stroke. He trusts the process. So too must you. Walt Disney's dream of Disneyland was delayed by resistance, doubters, lenders, city boards. But he did not fight them in panic. He found another way. He trusted the vision. And when the time was right, he walked through the door that opened. He moved with the resistance, not against it. That is the secret. You do not bulldoze every wall. You walk until you find the gate. Resistance often shows up through people. Critics, delays, betrayals, confusion. But these are not enemies. They are redirections. They are divine editors. Do not curse them. Bless them. For every Pharaoh has a purpose. Every Judas plays a role. The law uses even the resistance to refine the manifestation. Say this aloud. I let go of control. I release the need to know how. I trust divine order. Everything flows to me in perfect ease. Money is not my enemy. It is my servant. I am open, I am ready, I am aligned. Speak it until it becomes your atmosphere, until your room vibrates with peace, until your hands stop trembling and your chest stops tightening. Resistance tightens, but truth relaxes, and what you relax into, you attract. This is why worry must go. Worry is not harmless. It is a toxic prayer. It tells the universe, I do not trust you. It is better to speak nothing than to speak doubt. When you feel the storm coming, breathe, get still, declare. Only good comes to me. I walk in peace. My supply is flowing now. What you resist, persists, but what you embrace, transforms. If you are angry about a delay, bless it. If you are bitter about a closed door, praise it. If you are fearful of a lack, speak prosperity into it. Let every point of tension become a point of transformation. That is the law. Non-resistance is the root of all answered prayer. It is the cup that is empty enough to be filled. It is the field that is quiet enough to receive the rain. It is the heart that has stopped fighting long enough to be guided, and when you live in that peace, money comes, not by panic, not by pushing, but by permission. Your wealth is already finished in the invisible realm. You are not trying to create it, you are learning how to receive it. And the first key to receiving is release. Let go. Let go of the fear. Let go of the timeline. Let go of the shame. Let go of the way you think it must happen. God has 1,000 ways you've never imagined. So rest, child of spirit. Rest not in defeat, but in dominion. Rest because you know the law is working. Rest because you are not separate from your supply. You are one with it. Rest because you've spoken the word, and now, you let it do its work. Non-resistance is faith in motion. It is wealth on wings. It is the posture of miracles. So today, release, relax, rejoice. Your good is here, and it flows not through force, but through faithful surrender. Manifestation is not a mystery. It is a mathematics of spirit. It is the visible result of invisible alignment. It is the harvest of every thought, word, feeling, and act of faith. You are always manifesting, whether in fear or in faith, in lack or in abundance. The question is not, am I manifesting, but what am I manifesting? For the law cannot be turned off. It only responds to your vibration, your focus, your belief. In the unseen, everything is already finished. The castle, the contract, the call, the check. It exists now in divine mind. You are not creating it from nothing. You are calling it from the invisible into the visible. You are tuning the frequency of your life to the wealth that is already yours. As you align, you receive. As you speak, you shape. As you believe, you birth. Faith is the key that unlocks the invisible vault. Action is the hand that reaches inside. Gratitude is the force that multiplies what you hold, and expectation is the open gate through which it arrives. These are the sacred ingredients of manifestation. Speak, see, act, praise, expect, repeat. I have said it before. Your word is your wand. But now I tell you this, your faith is your funnel. It determines how much can pour through you. A thimble of belief cannot hold a river of riches. Enlarge your container. Stretch your vision. Expand your expectation. Do not ask for just enough. Ask for overflow. Remember the widow who cried to the prophet Elisha? She had nothing but a jar of oil. He said, "Gather vessels, not a few." And the oil flowed until there were no more vessels left to fill. Had she gathered more, more would have been filled. So too with you, your wealth will only match the size of your readiness. Your manifestation meets your mental capacity. Do not insult the infinite with small thinking. God has never run out. Divine substance is inexhaustible. If the lilies are clothed in splendor, and the sparrows are fed without toil, how much more will heaven pour into your life when you become a willing vessel? Manifestation is a mirror. It reflects not what you want, but what you are. If you want more, become more. If you want wealth, become the wealth consciousness. Speak as if it is already done. Walk as if the money is already in your hand. Give as if your supply is endless. Live as if heaven is your bank. There is no power in begging, no magic in desperation. God does not answer need, He answers faith. You must rise out of the beggar's mind and into the Creator's mind. Declare, I am the master of my fate, the prophet of my prosperity, the channel of divine wealth. Speak it until the molecules around you rearrange. You are not waiting on money. Money is waiting on you. To become magnetic, to become bold, to become certain. As Thomas Troward declared, principle is not bound by precedent. It does not matter if your past was poverty. It does not matter if your family lacked. It does not matter what statistics say. Spirit is not limited by history. It is moved by belief. The law of manifestation works when all other laws are honored. When your word is clear, your faith is strong, your vision is vivid, your actions are aligned, your timing is surrendered, and your resistance is released, then manifestation becomes inevitable. It is not luck, it is law. You must stop asking, when will it come? That is the language of doubt. Instead say, it is already here in spirit, I receive it now. Stop chasing, start commanding, stop wishing, start walking in it. You are not hoping for wealth, you are becoming the wealth. Say this aloud. My manifestation is sure, my harvest is certain, my good is now visible, I walk in divine supply, I radiate prosperity, I manifest miracles daily. Speak it in the morning, whisper it at night, let it rise from your soul like incense, let your whole being become a prayer of receiving. The law will not fail, the word will not return void, the promise will not expire. Orison Swett Martin once wrote, deep within man dwell those slumbering powers, powers that would astonish him, forces that would revolutionize his life if aroused and put into action. I say to you now, awaken those powers, stir the sleeping giant, let the forces of faith rise, stop looking for signs, be the sign, stop waiting for evidence, become the evidence. Every great manifester, from Carnegie to Disney to Hill, acted as if their vision was already real. They lived in the unseen until the seen had no choice but to obey. You must do the same, not tomorrow, now. Walk into rooms as if your name carries weight, sign contracts as if heaven backs your ink, open businesses as if failure is not in your vocabulary, give offerings as if you are a divine fountain. You are not an imposter, you are the evidence of spear, it in motion. If you see yourself as broke, the law must obey. If you see yourself as blessed, the law must obey. Choose your mirror wisely. Life reflects what you expect, not what you hope. Speak it, feel it, see it, live it. Manifestation is not a one-time miracle. It is a way of being. It is the fruit of spiritual alignment. As you dwell in the secret place of knowing, all things must be added unto you. The contract, the car, the cash, the calling. It is all yours by right of consciousness. Release the timeline. Divine timing has never missed an appointment. What is for you cannot be lost. What has your name cannot be stolen. Keep preparing, keep praising, keep acting as if, when the trumpet sounds, you will be ready. Napoleon Hill said, what the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. That is not theory, it is law, but you must persist, you must refuse to give up, you must become unshakable in spirit and unstoppable in motion. The universe does not reward the faint of heart, it rewards the faithful of heart. If you can see it in your soul, it is already seeking you. If you can hold it in your mind, you will soon hold it in your hands. There is no delay in spirit, only divine orchestration, and when the music plays, you must be ready to dance. So dance, beloved, dance in the dark, dance before the check arrives, dance before the manifestation is visible, for the dance is your declaration, and your declaration is your demonstration, and your demonstration is your manifestation. You are now complete. The 7 sacred laws are alive in you. You have spoken the word, you have walked in faith, you have held the vision, you have taken right action, you have trusted divine timing, you have surrendered through non-resistance, and now, you manifest. The world will try to explain your success as coincidence. Let them. You know the truth. You are not lucky. You are aligned. You are not favored by man. You are favored by spirit. Your wealth is not random. It is law. And now, with heaven as your witness and the law as your servant, go forth and manifest. Speak, believe, act, rejoice, expect, and receive, for all that you seek is already seeking you.